The Topkapı Palace never truly sleeps. Even at night, its marble halls echo with secrets and fear. It's 1603. A young prince walks alone, his footsteps haunted by the knowledge that danger lurks not from enemies, but from his own blood. In the Ottoman dynasty, every royal birth posed a brutal question. Will this child rule, or die by a silken cord at his brother's command? The palace walls have witnessed desperate struggles for survival, where love and loyalty are rare, and ambition is deadly. For Ottoman princes, there was no peaceful retirement, only the throne or the grave. This system, designed to prevent civil war, demanded ruthless choices and bred paranoia at the heart of the empire. The whispers of the silken cord haunted every prince, a chilling reminder that family could be the deadliest threat. Every creak, every distant shout could signal the end or the beginning of a new, bloody contest for power. The death of a sultan meant a frantic race, alliances forged, blades drawn, and brothers turned into rivals. Only the most cunning or ruthless would survive to rule. The legacy of this system was about to fall on a boy who would make a choice that changed everything. In this world, survival was the only prize, and the cost was often paid in blood. The silence in the prince's chamber was not peace, but a waiting terror. The path to power was paved with the bodies of kin, and the palace itself became a deadly arena. The fate of the empire and the dynasty hung on a single, impossible decision. The story of the Ottoman succession begins with a whisper and ends in a storm. Why was Ottoman succession so perilous? Unlike Europe's clear inheritance, every prince had an equal claim to the throne. This wasn't inheritance, it was a deadly contest. The winner took all, the losers paid with their lives. Sultan Mehmed II codified this with the law of fratricide. The new sultan could lawfully execute his brothers for the empire's stability. Princes raced to the capital at their father's death, each vying to be first, knowing the rest would likely die. Executions were quiet, inside palace walls, with a silken cord. No royal blood spilled. The empire's unity was bought with the lives of its own princes, creating a culture of suspicion and fear. Mothers schemed, alliances formed, and brothers became lethal rivals. Princes were trained as warriors, but also as survivors in a deadly family game. This system produced strong rulers, but at a terrible human cost. The Ottoman throne was forged in blood, and its legacy was one of trauma and paranoia. In 1603, Sultan Mehmed III died, leaving his 13-year-old son, Ahmed I, to inherit the throne. Ahmed faced a grim tradition. The law of fratricide demanded he execute his young brother, Mustafa. The court expected the order. The silken cord was ready, but Ahmed hesitated. He saw not a rival, but a child. Perhaps it was his youth, his mother's influence, or the horror of his father's legacy. Instead of repeating the massacre, Ahmed made a radical choice. He spared Mustafa. This act of mercy stunned the court and broke centuries of tradition. Ahmed chose confinement over execution, ensuring Mustafa could never threaten his rule. This decision ended the era of sanctioned fratricide, but created a new institution, the cafes. The fate of the dynasty would now be shaped by mercy and by captivity. Ahmed's choice was a turning point, trading bloodshed for imprisonment. The Ottoman succession would never be the same. The silken cord was replaced by a gilded cage, but the consequences of this mercy would haunt the empire. Ahmed's solution was the cafes, a gilded prison within the palace. Princes lived in luxury, but were stripped of freedom and purpose. Isolated from the world, they received no training in governance or war. Their days blurred into monotonous idleness, watched by guards, cut off from reality. The psychological toll was immense. Depression, paranoia, and madness became common. The cafes saved their bodies, but often destroyed their minds. The empire now risked being ruled by men unprepared for power. Ahmed's mercy ended fratricide, but created a new tragedy: rulers broken by confinement. The palace became a golden prison, and the dynasty's future grew uncertain. The cafes solved one problem, but unleashed another. Ahmed's early death in 1617 sparked a crisis. His sons were young, but his brother Mustafa, long confined in the cafes, was released and crowned sultan. 14 years of isolation had left Mustafa mentally unstable. He was unfit to rule. After a disastrous reign, he was deposed, and Ahmed's son Osman, a bold teenager, took the throne. Osman saw the empire's problems and dreamed of reform, but his inexperience and arrogance alienated powerful factions. The Janissaries, threatened by Osman's plans, resisted fiercely. The cafes had produced two extremes: the broken prince and the rash boy sultan. Neither was equipped for the throne, and the empire teetered on the edge of chaos. The succession system had traded one danger for another. The Ottoman crown was now a source of instability, not strength. The palace intrigue deepened, and tragedy loomed. The cost of mercy was becoming clear. Osman's reforms provoked the Janissaries to revolt in 1622. They stormed the palace, deposed Osman, and restored the unstable Mustafa as a puppet ruler. Osman was humiliated, paraded through the streets, then imprisoned and strangled. The first reigning sultan killed by his own subjects. The sanctity of the sultan was shattered. Real power now belonged to the Janissaries and court factions. Mustafa's second reign was as chaotic as his first, and he was soon deposed again. The throne passed to another of Ahmed's sons, but the government was paralyzed by infighting. The empire, once ruled by absolute monarchs, was now adrift in violence and intrigue. The cafes had not brought stability, but a new era of weak or manipulated rulers. The institutions meant to serve the sultan now threatened him. The Ottoman center was rotting, and the consequences would echo for generations. The age of the all-powerful sultan was over. Behind the politics, the Ottoman dynasty paid a terrible personal price. Princes in the cafes lived in constant fear, their lives at the mercy of the reigning sultan. Mothers and women of the harem navigated a battlefield of whispers and alliances, fighting for their sons' survival. Family bonds were twisted by suspicion. A brother could be an executioner, a son's birth a political gamble. Kosum Sultan, Ahmed's consort, endured loss, betrayal, and endless struggle to protect her children. Power came at the cost of peace, and safety was never certain. The system warped the meaning of family, measuring its toll in broken minds and bodies. In the Ottoman palace, the greatest danger was often the person sleeping just a few rooms away. The shift from fratricide to the cafes marked a permanent change. The dynasty no longer devoured its sons but produced rulers scarred by isolation or inexperience. Power flowed away from the sultan into the hands of the harem, viziers, and janissaries. The absolute monarch became a figurehead, and the government grew unstable. The Ottoman solution to civil war, first fratricide, then confinement, revealed the paradoxes of absolute rule. The palace became a prison, and brothers became rivals. The silken cord was gone, but the tragedy remained. The empire traded one form of suffering for another, and its strength slowly faded.